Good morning. We are going to what I believe is a skeleton. Essentially, the people that taught me Reiki, they have a method for distance Reiki, which is essentially the same as you would use on another person in physical close proximity, but they use a dummy. In their examples, they used a teddy bear, but I didn't want to use a teddy bear, so I used a fucking skeleton. I ordered a skeleton, and that's what we're doing. But I figured I would assemble it while I talked about my dream. I just had the most strange dream, and I think maybe it was a past life thing. I think that I've been dreaming about my past lives. But essentially, there was some kind of romance, like forbidden fruit romance that I was part of. And it was, again, with a guy that had an age difference, a guy that was a little bit younger than me. Not like to a creepy point, but young enough that people may not have liked it. And I think my sister was in that dream too. Only, I don't think she looked like my sister. Maybe she did, I don't know. But I think a good number of us were in the military. I think the guy I was interested in, his person, and my sister and I were all in the military serving on some kind of vessel. And we were at a ceremony for the Queen of fucking England. So we must have been lower class because I felt so out of place and so lost in like what was going on with the ceremony and everything like that. Like I knew how to do what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to stand, everything like that. But there was a lot of upper class isms, like behaviorisms that I just didn't understand what was going on, and I was told to just like vibe with it, flow with it, and there was some kind of meal that we were supposed to eat, and it looked in my dream like just plain chicken with like shredded lettuce, and the shredded lettuce did not look good at all. So me and my sister and the guy, who ironically looked a little bit like Jim from The Office, but like a younger version of Jim. Like, I don't know, it's weird. John Krasinski, shout out. So, anyway, we ended up like not eating the food because it didn't look appetizing at all. And we weren't trying to be rude or anything, but we just got off the fucking boat eating like emergency rations. Like the last thing we wanted to do was eat fucking, shredded lettuce that was like all wilty. So we're like, we're good, thank you. And there was the whole ceremony with the queen. We were trying not to be rude, we were trying to be polite and everything. But at that point we ended up like all getting separated from each other for individual parts of the ceremony. And the last thing that I remember before waking up was that the queen had written a letter about our behavior to whoever was in charge of us, saying that like we were not acting correctly and that was a huge problem for her, but maybe it was because we hadn't eaten properly, and that she could understand that being the reason why we would behave that way. And I'm like, this bitch did not appreciate that we didn't eat her dry ass like melty lettuce. So I think I have been spurning the elites in past lives also. King of Pentacles. But it was very well intentioned. I was just trying to like float through the situation I was being put in because I didn't want to be there. Ripple. I don't want to be there. I certainly didn't want to have all of those complicated circumstances happening. But I think that something that I did end up having to conquer this life without realizing it. Part of my journey here without me realizing it, was putting a solid stop to going after people that were already in relationships. Because back when I was younger, that didn't really bother me. I didn't mind being the other person. Because at the end of the day, people were accountable for their own actions. And if there was drama as a result, I wasn't going to get involved with that. But I didn't mind if somebody made the decision to cheat on their spouse with me. But part of my journey here was no longer engaging in any situation where somebody else was with somebody else. There was kind of a strange situation in the dream though, where like he was with somebody else, and then circumstances, like the whole situation with going on the boats and the queen, separated them and allowed us to come together. But I don't know if they were actually broken up or not. It may have been forbidden fruit because he was still technically with somebody else, even though he was away. Emperor on the bottom. That is a lantern. I think I'm hitting the money on that one. The lantern. So I don't think that was supposed to be a thing that was happening. And I knew that my sister wouldn't approve because we were trying to keep it away from her as well. And I know that with this new guy, my sister would not approve also because they are very close. That could be the past life connection. But at the very least, I'm very confident that nobody is in a relationship this go around, and that lesson's been learned. There might be something here about not hiding it from family members, because I know that if something did happen here, I would probably keep my mouth shut about it, because everybody in my family is very close to the situation. I just don't think I want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with everybody else's opinions and everybody else worrying about what would happen if we broke up, because like that's just not their business, and I'm an adult, you know? And I think even if we did break up, then like we'd probably handle that well enough to still be around each other because of the, you know, family dynamics involved. 10 of Cups. I don't think that's something that I would have to worry about, but I could absolutely see that being a concern everybody else would have. It makes me want to, even if he was ready to acknowledge feelings and come forward, I don't think I would want to talk about it with anybody else. So there is also that. But how fascinating that, oh, there we go. How fascinating that past lives are coming up as dreams for me right now. That never happened really before. Well, it has happened before. I have dreamed of past lives before, but it wasn't in a way that I could actually get solid information like this. Before, it was always like I would relive snapshots of the dream. Like there's one past life in particular that I feel very close to. That was sometime in the late 1880s, early 1900s maybe, based on, you know, the clothing and all that. That's why that filter brought up some memories of that the other day. There was a woman with really long, like wild, kind of curly brown hair, at least waist length. She had a pretty face, but she was angry. She was a very angry person. I think it was very much so like she'd been pushed down by men her entire life, and so she was acting more masculine in order to be able to make her own choices, in order to be able to live her life in a way that she was happy with. And she was also very connected to nature. Her name was Celia. I'm sure it was short for Cecilia, but in my dream, whenever I'd seen it like written down, it was spelled like Celia. And I wasn't able to find much else about her. I tried looking at like gravestones that would have had that name, but I think like if a gravestone did have the name, they probably would have used the